one of them vermin!
This is Ascalon. Die, traitor! This is Take a breath with this!
More Braille. I should bring this to Mason Swanborough.
think.
Watch yourselves! There's one of them! The power of the Lord commands! Be murdering boss! Die, vermin!
It's locked. It's locked.
Look lively! It's on to us! Get them weapons ready! We found one! The leech has two! Filthy
It's locked, all right. I can't believe I'm doing this. Good evening, Mr. Fishburne.
Yeah.
Aren't you worried about the conditions here in London?
I've heard armed men have started patrolling the city, even killing the sick to stop the epidemic. Starting to like this city again.
Goodbye, Mr. Fishburne. Hello, boy.
Hello. Good evening.
Did I scare you? You have nothing to fear from me.
No, it's just that people prefer to avoid me.
Well, I won't. I'm a doctor.
My name is Rufus, sir. Rufus Kingsbury.
What can you tell me about this region?
It's all about staying out of trouble. But since most people prefer to avoid me, it's pretty easy.
Why do people avoid you?
They call me Rufus the Curse. Around here, I'm a bit of a bad luck charm.
Have you ever thought about leaving?
Where else would I go? At least I know these streets and some people around here. This is my city, for better or worse.
What do you do around here, Rufus?
I listen to the news on the docks, sir. And I smile at those kind enough to spare me a bob.
Do you have a job?
It's hard to work, what with my head and all. Since I was a boy, I've always had trouble remembering what I do and why I do it.
What do people say about this place?
Things have been tense between the wet boot boys and the communists. They both feel they should run the docks.
What do people say about this place?
Things have been tense between the wet boot boys and the communists. They both feel they should run the docks.
Are you alone? Where is your family?
I don't have any. My parents are dead.
So you have no home? You're sleeping rough.
No. I mean, yes. I live on the streets. I have no home.
You should be careful, Rufus. There are things that lurk in the shadows of this city. Things that prey on the lonely and the desperate.
Well, I've known worse. I'm not all alone. I have Mrs. Fishburne. She's been very kind to me.
Why do you think she's so considerate?
I can't say, sir. I guess she's a good soul. Sometimes it's like she replaces the mother I lost, even if we're not related.
Heard anything about Hampton's shelter lately?
I rarely go near there, but rumour has it the place is restricted. Only members chosen by Mr. Hampton are allowed in.
Are you worried about the sanitary situation?
I never really felt safe in this town anyway. Now's the first time that everyone seems to feel the same way as me.
Is anything worrying you right now?
Gunshots? I hear them every night. Who's firing? Who are they shooting at? That's what's scary.
So long, Rufus. Be careful. Take care. Good evening, madam. I'm Dr. Reed. Could I come in?
Why? What do you want?
I work at the Pembroke Hospital. I'm investigating the flu epidemic in this area.
Oh, the Spanish flu. Well, that's quite liberal of you, Doctor. But this is no time to be knocking at people's doors.
The disease takes away the good people too, madam. Why not let me in?
It's Mrs. Fishburne. Stella Fishburne. And yes, indeed. Why not let a doctor in? Just grow eyes in the back of that head, sir. Gentlemen are easy targets in these parts. Please don't stay too long, sir. I can't remember the last time I had a good sleep. I've been nothing but worry. I'm not sure the epidemic is what worries people most these days.
It's locked.
Best grow eyes in the back of that head, sir. Gentlemen are eat. So you have questions about the flu, then?
Yes, among other things.
Forgive my rudeness at the door. It's just my son doesn't like strangers coming in the house.
How is life around here?
Life has always been hard in the East End. It's everywhere nowadays, isn't it?
Do you think the increase in violence has anything to do with the epidemic?
Don't know. But it's most likely linked to the gangs, if you ask me. Recently, it's like everyone has had to pick a side.
Violence has always fed on poverty, don't you think? It's a cruel law of the human condition.
And selfishness is their rotten fruit. These days, you can just die in the gutter and no one will bat an eye.
May I ask what you do for a living, Mrs. Fishburne?
Since my husband died, I worked at the Dawson Rope Factory, but it closed before the war. I occasionally help at the night asylum, in exchange for food.
Did your husband die in the war?
Oh no, my Jack was a docker. He died when my Seymour was just a lad. The poor boy saw his dad slip and fall, fault in.
How do you pay the rent, then?
My Seymour works at the docks, just like his dad. He's very attached to the house he grew up in. It's not always easy, but we get by all right.
The orphan that regards you as a mother. Please tell me about him, Stella.
You mean Rufus? I wish I could do even more for the poor boy. Most people are so selfish.
But you're not.
Years may have passed, but I haven't forgotten how it feels to go through days with nothing but an empty stomach.
Do you have any news about Sean Hampton's shelter?
I heard you can't go there anymore unless you share his faith. A bit queer, don't you think?
Aren't you worried about the conditions around here?
Hate everywhere. The city will not sink because of this flu. It's the violence that will finish us all.
Goodbye, Miss Fishburne. Take care of yourself.
Please don't stay too long, sir. Best grow eyes in the back of that head, sir. Gentlemen are easy targets in these parts. I can't remember the last time I had a good sleep. I've been nothing but worry. I'm not sure the epidemic is what worries people most these days. Best grow eyes in the back of that head, sir. Gentlemen are easy targets in this.
All these whispers of monsters got folk gossiping and scared. It's people they should fear. Flesh and blood.
It's locked, all right.
Andrew, what have you done? You should have talked to me.
Good evening, sir. I'm amazed you made it back to the docks alone. Good for you.
Well, I could say the same about you, young man. More to the point, who the hell are you?
I'm Dr. Jonathan Reed.
And I am Archer Woodbead. Please excuse my assertiveness. I often forget I'm just an old prune.
What can you tell me about this part of town?
People used to feel safe around here. They had the gangs protecting them. Now all they do is bicker and plot against one another.
Missing the good old days, are you not?
Trust me, son. The longer you live, the less meaning your existence will have. You need to remember the days you still had beliefs.
And what about the gangs?
Back in my day, people trusted the wet boot boys. We looked out for the docks and its families. Nowadays, they're just a bunch of greedy fuckers.
You were a gang member.
I was their leader for a time, believe it or not. Now these bastards act like I'm nothing. Not one of them. They owe me some damn respect.
If you were such a respected figure, surely you have many interesting stories about this part of town.
You bet I do, but make no mistake. I'm no rat, sir. Some secrets are best left buried.
Do you still know anyone? From the old days, I mean.
Most of them are dead. I still give Miss Gillingham salutations. She doesn't remember me. She did once like me. Boy, she was a beauty back then.
Any remarkable new faces around here?
Nobody. Well, there's that boy Rufus the Curse. I like him, despite the reputation he's made since his parents died, poor little bastard.
I'm sure a district as colorful as the docks must have plenty of stories about strange visitors and creepy characters.
So, you want me to talk about the sewer dog, don't you?
If you don't mind.
The sewer dog is a bitch. Appropriately named. An old woman dressed in rags. She has an elegance, though, despite her ugliness. I saw her once. Scared the life out of me.
Who would you trust around here?
The owner of the Turquoise Turtle's a decent fella. Tom's his name. Sean Hampton's all right, too. Don't particularly share his religious views. He's quite devout, if you catch my meaning.
Have you always been so bitter?
It's not bitterness, it's poorly masked disgust. When everything turns to shit, we all have to eat a spoon or two.
With everything that's happened recently, the war, Spanish flu, I must concede that these are difficult times.
A few nights ago, I saw a kid eating a rat. He was right in front of one of those abandoned houses nearby. Just chewing on a living rat's insides.
Tell me everything you know about the Guard of Priwen.
Andrew never told me what they do. I do know they're vigilantes with military training. Access to some impressive firepower.
And what is your personal opinion about the Guard, then?
This Guard of Priwen is just another gang preying on the young and naive. Preying on people like my boy. I know how it works. I invented it.
Tell me about the Wet Boot Boys, Archer. I want to know more.
We were there for the families and each other. It was us against the world. We were vicious, tough, even cruel. But we were united.
You sound like you were some kind of radical union member.
Yes, nowadays the communists and gangs squabble over pointless territory. Sounds stupid when you say it out loud.
Why did your son really join the Guard of Priwen?
If I believed in a higher power, I'd see this as punishment for my own sins. I deserve it for all the young men I enlisted back in the day.
You don't believe in God, though, do you, Mr. Woodbeard? So why did he join?
Now I think about it, Andrew joined the Guard, not to defy me, but to follow in my footsteps, to make me proud.
So your son has left you nothing to explain his actions? No letter or message?
Not even a note. I'm a proud man, Dr. Reed. But I would kneel and pray if I thought it would give me my Andrew back.
Do you have any recent news on Sean Hampton's shelter?
I read that given enough time, any intention, no matter how good, can rot and sour. If half the things I've heard about this place are true, that theory is soundly proven.
Are you worried about the sanitary situation in London?
I never thought I'd live to see the last days of London. Just another thing I was wrong about, I suppose.
Do you need my medical attention, sir?
I'm as fit as an old dog, given the circumstances.
Goodbye, sir.
We don't need no wars to worry us. People are dying here right on the spot.
Good evening, Miss Cox.
Hello again, Dr. Reed. What do you want?
What can you tell me about your work?
I'm a businesswoman. I buy and sell things, and I send my wet boot boys after anyone who don't play nice with me.
Gang member and shopkeeper. Can't be easy running double shifts.
If you're interested, I may find use of a doctor who can freely walk across the city, you know.
I'm not interested in a career in the criminal underworld, Miss Cox.
Fair enough. Stay away from us then, if you don't want to get hurt, or worse.
Since my return from the war, I don't feel that concerned by threats, knives, or even bullets, if you must know.
That's exactly what that stupid trade unionist claimed after he attacked one of us. Booth and I reminded him a bullet beats words every time.
What can you tell me about this part of town?
You can't trust anyone around here. As soon as you lower your guard, you can be sure some arsehole will take advantage of you.
Really? Don't you think that's a little bit excessive?
Bastards, all of them. This region only responds to violence and threats.
Are you worried about the sanitary situation in London?
The bodies are piling up, but I'm not afraid. I'm still alive, and I intend to stay that way.
Tell me about the man you and Booth killed, Edwina.
The bastard killed one of us and received retribution. There's nothing else to say.
What happened exactly?
I don't know, and I don't care. One of ours was killed by that communist bastard, but he didn't brag for long.
So you have no idea what really happened, but you executed him anyway.
No one messes with the wet boot boys, Doctor. This is our territory, and this is our law.
And your conscience is clear. You kill without hesitation.
Violence is an efficient tool, Dr. Reed, when used properly.
So you decide who lives and who dies, just like that.
Yes, Doctor. Just like that. I'm not saying it's fair. I'm saying it's my way of dealing with troublemakers.
Can I see what you have to sell?
As long as you have money, I'll show you all I have.
You again. What do you want?
Tell me about the man you killed, Booth. What happened?
One of us had been killed, so we had to retaliate. That's the whole story.
There has to be more to it than that.
No, really, one of us got killed, so the killer had to die. That's how things have always been done round here. No one gives a shit.
Are you so heartless that you could pull the trigger and kill someone without even blinking?
Have you looked around recently? Do you really think one more body will make a difference?
Are you worried about the conditions in London?
I've heard rumours about some sort of militia patrolling, killing the sick. The wet boot boys are overrun.
Goodbye, Mr. Digby.
us strength. Have no fear, brothers. We cannot be defeated. No rest for the wicked! Over there! No rest for the wicked.
Smells like rotten meat. One's near. I know it.
Don't forget to check every door.
Fear no evil. We do the Lord's work here.
No rest for the wicked.
It smells like rotten meat. One's near. I know it. God give us strength. It smells like rotten meat. One's near. I know it. No rest for the wicked.
Have no fear, brothers!
It smells like
It's locked.
one's near. I know it.
I cannot enter. Doris Fletcher was about to become a disaster. I'm getting close to having all the evidence.
Stay close, guys.
Better go home, sir. Back in the graveyard! You leeches need killing! Killing's all you deserve! Mine, damn it!
It's locked, all right. I should find the key to that box. Blood of a pure heart, garlic, blood of a king. I don't understand. Perhaps this is what McCullum drank. I had better keep that in mind. Edgar. Edgar, can you hear me?
Jonathan, is it really you?
Easy. Easy. Save your strength. I'm getting you out of here.
Don't try to spare me. As a physician, I know all too well when it's too late. Punctured lung, broken ribs, and internal bleeding. An accurate diagnosis, wouldn't you say?
Edgar, what happened?
They wanted me to confess. Beat me black and blue.
Jeffrey McCullum ambushed me at the Pembroke Hospital. He was convinced you and I were responsible for the Skal epidemic.
I never imagined that self-righteous fanatic would dare to attack us in the open. What became of him?
To prove him wrong, I let him go.
Really? You sure that was the wisest course of action?
Time will tell. The most intriguing part of his accusation was that you and I were the pawns of some ancient vampire.
William Marshall. Yes, they tortured me to make me confess the same nonsense.
I think you're hiding something, Edgar.
What do you mean?
William Marshall, for example. You speak of him as if you know him. How is that?
Jonathan, I cannot say I'm ready for another round of questions.
While investigating the epidemic, I read some of McCullum's findings. I think you have some explaining to do.
I have nothing to hide, Jonathan. Nothing at all.
Do you know Doris Fletcher's real name?
No, I'm afraid not.
Her real name was Doris Jones. She was the daughter of Harriet Jones.
What do you want me to say, Jonathan?
Do you remember when we suspected Sean Hampton of killing Harriet Jones?
Yes. The terrible episode that came as a shock to us all.
Harriet Jones faked her own death. When I found her in the sewers, she confessed she wanted everybody to pay for what happened to her.
That woman was extremely bitter, full of hatred and festering anger.
Doris Fletcher visited her mother at the Pembroke Hospital. That's how she first got infected.
I know nothing about that. Miss Fletcher once came to visit the sick. That is all I know.
No, Edgar, there is more. Doris Fletcher was Harriet Jones's daughter. They exhibited the same symptoms: blind hate and strong physical mutation.
What does this sad story have to do with us?
Do you know where we are? Doris Fletcher's theatre. This is where that hateful creature plotted to spread the epidemic across London.
I only briefly met Miss Fletcher once when she visited the Pembroke Hospital. You say it was to see her mother. She seemed like such a sweet and graceful woman.
My point exactly. The disease turned her into a bitter soul, driven by vengeance just like her mother. A symptom of all the infected patients.
Certain diseases are known to produce similar effects. Rabies, for example. And rabies is not the devil at work.
Come on, Edgar. Don't you see the pattern here? The epidemic, the link between Doris and Harriet, the suspicion of McCullum.
How could I? I never saw Harriet Jones again after she fled the hospital.
Doris and Harriet shared more than a hidden family bond. They were the embodiment of the epidemic and are linked to the Pembroke Hospital. Come on, Edgar, this is no coincidence.
I swear I'm at a complete loss. All I did was administer vampire blood to cure old Harriet. There was no evil plan, no diabolical plot.
You did what?
I tested the regenerating and healing properties of vampire blood on Harriet Jones. My only intention was to find the cure for influenza, I swear.
Whose blood did you use? William Marshall's? Mine?
Lady Ashbury's. While transfusing her with human blood, humanely appeasing her hunger, I also kept samples of her blood for my research.
You used her blood on Harriet Jones? My God, Edgar, that's unethical. You betrayed 2 of your patients at the same time.
Right, I admit it. I boldly ventured into experimental realms, but I've killed no one to appease my thirst for knowledge, Jonathan. I'm no murderer.
I never asked to become what I am, Edgar. You chose to conduct your rogue experiments.
You have worked beside me. You saw what I'm doing at Pembroke Hospital. Jonathan, you know I'm not an evil soul. Just another victim of this tragedy.
No, Edgar, you are not going to die. Unless you want to.
What do you mean?
I can save you, Edgar. I can turn your broken body into one like mine.
You truly would? After all I've done, after all that's been said, you would offer me this gift?
I have no way of knowing which punishment would be worse, Edgar. But it is not for me to decide. So?
Oh, please, Jonathan, please. I beg you. This is what I've always wanted. This is what I've always searched for.
Very well, then. Prepare to die and be reborn. To face an eternity of guilt.
I'm ready. Oh, indeed, I am ready.
Enough!
Get close. Keep an eye on each other. Lord, give us strength.
I have it. I can now open the box.
Have no fear! We cannot be defeated!
I really don't know if I should read this. believe it. I will return later. So Harriet Jones became the original carrier when Edgar gave her vampire blood. I must tell Elizabeth.
There's safer places to be than here. Over there! There's one of them burn! Look at it! Vicious bugger! Watch out for them teeth! Don't you know better? This is my territory. I'd head back. Look lively. Lord, give us strength. Watch yourselves! This one! I'll send you to hell. He's dead! There's one of them! Watch yourself!
Good evening, Mr. Swanborough.
Is it you, Dr. Reed? Please come in. Wandering in this part of town at night, you're either brave or a fool. What can I do for you, Doctor?
I found another page of the diary, Mr. Swanborough.
This diary is still not complete. The man who wrote it claims he is a member of some scholarly brotherhood called the St. Paul's Stole.
Really? I've heard of them. Very capable scientists. Perhaps the man who wrote this really found a cure.
I would need more pages to figure it out, but it's as promising as it is intriguing.
Here is another page of the diary. Is the diary
No.
Goodbye, Mr. Swanborough. I'll leave you now.
Tell me, how do you see the world these days? Wandering in this part of town, you're either brave or a fool.
Good evening, Mr. Whitaker.
It's Father Whitaker, my son. So, are you still lost in your rational delusions?
Your disciple, Samuel, stole from the dead in Stonebridge Cemetery. I have proof of his crime and proof of his death.
No! Samuel was the best of us. So devoted, so zealous. He gave all he had for the cause. He tirelessly preached the good word.
He defiled the dead with his petty thefts. That's how he financed your misguided crusade.
Think what you will. When this city is saved, he will be praised for his devoted fortitude. He walked boldly into the mouth of abomination.
Your precious Samuel used you. He was an immoral crook.
If that's true, then he will be my burden to bear during this endless night.
What do you mean when you say that I am more lost than you thought?
All scientists are entangled in a world of causes and consequences, and most of them can't see the plain truth.
Quite a judgmental opinion, if you ask me. But what do I know? Blinded by science as I am.
But you are seeking answers, aren't you? Answers about the Armageddon about to strike the city. Answers about the hidden truth.
Well, I suppose I can spare a few minutes listening to your so-called truth.
As a doctor, you must be aware of the decimating epidemic. But let me tell you that this so-called Spanish flu is just the beginning of the end.
What do you mean?
The beast is finally revealing itself, corrupting the flesh and the heart of men. With my own eyes I have seen them, those minions from the abyss.
I have heard enough. Goodbye.
Would you like me to revive you? I'm cheap and I'm clean.
Soon the time will come when you will all be judged for your sins. Even now, he judges your words and actions. The wars of men should not be your main concern. The disease upon us is not an accident of nature.
Distribute flowers at this hour of night. This district seems to get uglier every year. In the tall place, Colossus. Perhaps I should leave it.
Good evening, Mr. Baker.
Why do I...
Goodbye, Mr. Baker. It's locked.
Good evening, Jonathan Reed. Can I help you in any way?
Tell me the truth, Usher. Are you a vampire?
By the stole, you really thought you could force Usher Talltree to yield to your little mind tricks like an oblivious mortal?
So, are you or are you not a vampire?
As a brilliant man once said, to be unambiguous can only be to one's own detriment.
Why can't I force you to answer me then?
I'm the primate of St. Paul's Stole. It comes with certain advantages, like accessing the greatest library in the country and avoiding answering certain questions.
Have you any news concerning Aloysius Dawson?
You unburdened his heart and cleared his mind. A most elegant solution, I must say, Jonathan.
I found your notebook. The one the guard of Prewan stole from you.
And you've brought it back to me. That's excellent news, Jonathan. Were you able to keep yourself from reading it?
No.
Ah, the oldest temptation of all. If Pandora herself did not pass the test, I suppose I should not blame you for your curiosity.
So you're not angry with me?
Why should I be? To live is to make choices, Jonathan. And you made yours. Now give it to me, please.
Can you read the cards for me?
Put the money on the table then, Jonathan. And open your mind.
Perhaps later. Goodbye, sir. Until we meet again.
I rarely wander. Yet it amuses me to converse with your kind. Cards never lie, but they are never easy to read.
Seriously.
Good evening, Dr. Reed. A great night, what?
Calhoun, tell me about your relationship with Doris Fletcher.
Oh, Doris. Cold fire and burning ice trapped in a perfect body. Our passion was as intense as it was brief. What an actress.
How did you meet her?
On a boat to France before the war. She was thinking about a career in Paris, and I was eager to try French gastronomy. We both returned disappointed.
I expect you've seen her on stage, too.
She really is the best actress of her generation. Such frailty and such strength at the same time. I hope she'll play again soon. She's been away for too long.
You sound surprisingly sad. Have you regrets?
I think of her as a divine dish. I'm glad I was able to taste it, but I regret I could only get a bite of her mystery.
You really loved her, then?
She fascinated me, Dr. Reed. I can't imagine what she must have endured through her life to reach such a level of emotion and sensibility.
Have you any news on Aloysius Dawson?
I heard he died and gave all his money to the poor. Now that's a good man. An example for us all to follow.
I may have a look at your goods, Mr. Russell.
fight for us.
Good evening.
Evening, Dr. Reed.
Are you concerned about the conditions here in London?
Not really. Sick people, men in arms, fighting every night. I already faced all this during the war.
Goodbye, Mr. Thatcher. Try to take care of yourself.
There again. My own life.
I'm quite busy right now, Dr. Reed.
Tell me, Waverley.
Strickland is playing with his patients.
Are you thinking about...
Harvey Fit...
Thank you for your time. We'll talk later.
If only there were more of us, with less resignation and more determination.
No, I
The life running in your veins. This dead flesh needs it.
Oh, please spare me, Dark Queen. Spare your obedient queen.
I'm sorry you ended up on my plain and cold medical bench, sir. I understand you must be very angry about this unfair situation. I managed to arrange to have you buried in the same mass grave as your wife. I hope that might help.
You don't mind if I search your pockets, do you, sir? You won't need any of these anyway. I'm not stealing from you, mister. I'm only distributing belongings to people who need them more than you. You see, no one has claimed your body, sir, so it would be such a shame to bury you with your valuables. I will not forget you, sir, and I thank you for your generous donation.
Good evening, Dr. Strickland.
And good evening to you, Dr. Reed. Can I be of any help?
I located the shop, but it was vandalized, and the owner is missing. All I found was your order.
I was afraid of such bad news. People are so desperate they're ready to burgle a shop for drugs.
That's quite a list you ordered. Opium, sodium hypochlorite. It can't be just headaches you're trying to cure.
This dreadful influenza, of course. I already ran some tests on hopeless cases. Without success, I must admit.
Do you realize you could create a lethal poison without the correct dosage? Then there are the legal ramifications.
Is this not true of any medical substance, Dr. Reed? However, if you would agree to improve it, I'd be glad to accept your help.
As long as you promise to be scrupulous with your experiments, I may try to gather these substances, and even help improve upon the mixture.
That's all I'm asking for, Dr. Reed. That's all I'm asking.
I want to know about these secret tests you run, and if they can save people from this epidemic. Speak to me now, Thoreau.
I know I may sound presumptuous, but I'm just following your steps, Dr. Reed. I'm casting away the shadows of ignorance by daring to face them.
Self-confidence is essential in our line of work, my young colleague, but only if tempered with the correct amount of cynicism.
But you never doubt yourself, Dr. Reed. I've read all your articles and books. You performed the most daring research during the war.
You have my support, Dr. Strickland. I know exactly what it feels like to battle an unknown disease with only your mind and force of will to help you.
Thank you, Dr. Reed. You don't know what that means to me.
Reads me like a book. Never could keep anything from her.
Goodbye, Dr. Strickland. I can't let Strickland put his patients at risk with opium. Perhaps an adjusted formula will deliver more of a placebo effect.
So many deaths, and still more coming. How can we be sure we're making a difference?
Good evening, Dr. Reed. Such a pleasure to see you again.
How dare you steal from the dead, Rakesh? Is that what your pawnbrokers is really about?
These people are dead, sir. What they possessed could be useful for the living. And I'm sure they would agree if they could speak.
Whatever your motives, you're making money by stealing from the dead. Dr. Swansea should be informed.
No offense, sir, but Dr. Swansea is one of my customers. As I told you, I like to help people, and everybody needs help from time to time.
How dare you?
These people...
Whatever you...
No offense, sir.
Please show me what...
Of course. It's just... sure that during your lifetimes, you have all seen things that no one...
Strickland's project could be dangerous. I have a mind to report him to Dr. Ackroyd. Good evening, Dr. Strickland.
And good evening to you, Dr. Reed. Can I be of any help?
I have managed to improve the mixture by diluting it. Have you ever heard of Sir Joseph Francis Olive, or the placebo effect?
No, I don't think so. Why?
A placebo is a substance or procedure that has no actual physical effect.
You made a placebo of my project. Why?
Research has established that a placebo, as long as the subject believes in the effect, can provoke a positive physiological reaction.
Really? That's fascinating. And you want me to, what, administer the placebo and see what occurs?
Something like that, yes.
Well, I'm a bit surprised, but I trust you, Dr. Reed. Please take the key to my cabinet and put this placebo there for future use.
Goodbye, Dr. Strickland.
I wonder what your last thought
I cannot enter. It's locked, all right. It's locked. It's locked, all right. At least Strickland can't kill anyone with this formula. The flower's dying. It needs water.
You shall learn to respect the laws of
Tom has so much alcohol, he could keep this district afloat for quite some time.
I should just run as far away from this place as I can.
Welcome back, Doctor. What can I do for you?
Are you concerned about the sanitary situation?
It may surprise you, but I'm not. I've heard about the men-at-arms and the fights between gangs at night, but that's nothing new.
I wish I shared your optimism.
It's not optimism. Gangs have been fighting in this part of town since before I was born. This war will stop when enough blood has been spilled.
You attempted murder. Give me some details.
I was given an order to kill. I was an obedient gang member at the time, a proud wet boot boy.
So you were ordered to kill someone. What happened then?
I don't know if you can possibly understand, but I couldn't kill him. I just stood there pointing my gun. Someone saw me. I gave up.
Why couldn't you shoot?
My target was eating in that fancy restaurant with mirrors and music. He was eating, drinking, laughing. He was having such a good time. I hated him for his bottomless appetite and easy life of easy pickings. And then something happened.
You refused to kill him because you wanted to feel some of that happiness yourself. You empathized with him.
Exactly. The man was a bloody landlord who rented overpriced flats. A selfish bastard. But he made me smile. And I was no different from him.
Why did you join the gang?
Because I finally felt useful. Do you have any idea what it means to feel respected when the rest of the world shits on you?
Tell me about your arrest for attempted murder, Tom.
I tried to kill someone. I got arrested. I paid my debt and I have nothing to hide.
So you mean your customers know about your sordid past?
Yeah, why do you think this is the last pub open? I have nothing to hide and I don't judge. That's a relief for many round here.
Do you think prison changed you? Made you a better man?
Oh, I don't know about that. All I brought back is bad memories, scars, and an ugly tattoo of a blue turtle.
But do you feel cleansed of your sins?
All I know is that I'm at peace. I did what I did, but I wouldn't do it again. Does that make me a better man? I don't know.
Why not leave town and start a new life after you got out of jail?
I grew up in the East End. This is where my roots are. This is where I want to help others and die, eventually.
Do you think the docks will always be a hive of scum and villainy?
As long as poverty and fear run the show, I don't see how it would change. Misery loves company, as they say.
Don't you feel threatened, staying in such a violent and criminal neighborhood?
I've made peace with my violent past, Dr. Reed. I may not be a pacifist, but I'm not angry anymore.
You lied to me, Tom. Your warehouse wasn't empty. It was inhabited with armed vigilantes.
I'm sorry, Dr. Reed, but I thought those Prewen guards would be willing to let someone like you pass without trouble.
That was devious of you, Tom. Next time you can bloody well go yourself.
I apologise, Doctor, but it's just that I prefer to avoid the law, its enforcers, and all manner of thugs in uniform.
Here is your booze. I hope it will appease your customers. Just try not to kill anyone with this poison of yours.
Believe me, Doctor, most of my customers are less agreeable when sober.
Are you concerned?
It may surprise.
I wish I shared.
It's not.
Goodbye, Mr. Watts.
Times like these, a good drink's just as likely to cause a problem as to solve one.
You still working at this hour? That's what I call dedication.
Were you aware of Tom's past incarceration?
That's the first thing he told me when he offered me the job. He didn't want me hearing about his past from anyone else.
Did it surprise you to find out it?
Not really. I was already aware of his reputation before I met him. That's why I came to the Turtle in the first place.
Most people would have run away because of that.
Not me. I thought a man like him could give me stability, you know? At least to some degree. And I wasn't mistaken.
Tell me, Sabrina, do you really believe Tom has renounced his life of crime?
He proves it to me every day he tells the truth. Tom Watts is a good man. One of the best.
And you don't think he might fall back into his sordid ways?
We can all do terrible things, Dr. Reed. And we never know what we're really capable of until it's too late.
Goodbye, Miss Cavendish.
You know, it would be nice to see each other outside the pub sometime.
This place. Rain may have washed away the blood, but not the memory. My poor Mary. This is my watch. Damn grave robbers.
wave of bitter death to drown and purge out.
Good evening, Mr. Fishburne.
Yeah.
Goodbye, Mr. Fishburne.
We don't need no wars to worry us.
Good evening, Miss Cox.
Hello again, Dr. Reed. What do you want?
Tell me your feelings about Booth's belief in monsters, Edwina.
It makes him look weak in front of the boys, that's my feeling about it. But ghosts don't scare me.
You don't believe he really saw something then?
I don't care what he saw or not. All I know is that a real man keeps his fears to himself if he wants to be obeyed.
Are you worried about
The bodies...
I managed to reach the mass grave in Southwark. It was not pleasant.
Spare me the details, Dr. Reed. All I want to know is what happened to those bastards who owed me money.
I'm afraid those bastards, as you call them, are in the mass grave.
Dead? Shit. That money would have been useful. Well, I'll tell my boys to avoid the place if it's that dangerous.
Yes. Everybody should avoid that place until further notice.
Okay then, Doctor. It looks like you deserve your reward after all. The Wet Boot boys thank you for your help.
Goodbye, Miss Cox.
Pleasure, sir. Been a while since we've seen any new faces round here. Without the Wet Boots keeping things straight, these parts would be running completely amok.
The Wet Boot boys. Lost boys will be awful.
Informing London's inhabitants of the presence of vampires. What does that make me? A double or a triple agent? Done. Mr. Throgmorton should be happy.